Hi everyone, welcome to Live Stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a short little sequence that you can use at the end of a long day when you come home with tired, sore, achy feet. First thing to do, shuckle off your shoes and your socks and get your feet naked. Make your way towards the back end of the mat so that you've got room to play in front of you. Stand up nice and tall with your feet stacking in parallel underneath your hips. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, float your hands to your hips, and think of drawing your right knee up to 90 and begin by releasing into the ankle on the right side of the body. Giving me maybe 10 rotations in one direction, changing, and giving me 10 in the opposite. Come to stillness along the midline of the body, and then heel toe out with the foot, giving me about 10 rotations, and then you're going to repeat on the other side. Working those little rotations, making sure that you give me at least 5 to 10 rotations in each direction. And then coming to stillness along the midline of the body and heel toeing out on that foot. Make your way back to the first side and think of placing your big toe on the mat. You're going to gently trace a circular pattern, trying to connect as much of the top of your toes, so think ballet on point, and then rolling it almost right onto the bridge section of your foot, trying to connect with the tops of your toes. Maybe just the first two toes, or even allowing it to travel as far as the pinky toe. You're going to repeat that on both sides, rolling onto the top section of your toes, maybe giving me 10 rotations clockwise and 10 anti-clockwise. Then find your way into a small Pilates V, standing up nice and tall with the heels together and the toes softly splayed out. Bring the weight bearing up onto your toes, and then back down to your start position, but not allowing the heels of your feet to connect to the mat. So keeping the weight bearing on the balls of your feet and almost gripping the mat with all 10 metatarsals. Do that about 10 times, and then float back down to your original V position and give me a little bend in the knees. Small little micro bend. Look down and check that your knee's not tracking further than the second toe, just enough to wake up the bottom section of your legs. And then coming all the way up onto the toes and down, repeating about 10 times, and then we'll come into a little floating butterfly line, and I'll give you a side and a front view. Think of coming up onto the toes on the left side, peeling the heels up off the floor and replicating on the other side. So from the front, you've got the weight bearing on your toes, and the heels are connected behind you, floating off the floor. You're going to bend through the knees, trying to come as low to the floor on the haunches as you can before peeling back up to your start position. And you can float your hands to a gentle prayer, just keeping the elbows soft as you make your way up and down. If coming all the way down to the mat is not an option, maybe just giving me a small little micro bend and peeling back up. So just play where you're comfortable. Doing that roughly 10 times, floating up and down with as much grace as you can. And then ending below to the mat and finding your way into a modified thunderbolt with the knees together, dropping down onto the knees and tucking the toes under behind you, trying to connect all 10 toes to the mat. So make sure your pinky toes are not hanging in suspended animation. You're going to sit the weight back, trying to connect to your bum as best you can, and to distract from that stretch that's happening in the arch of your foot and into the toes, you can just give me a modified cow stretch, maybe bending your right arm, placing the hand between the two shoulder blades, either just reaching overhead and tucking in towards the midline of the body, or taking that hand behind your back, giving me a little bear grip, holding for roughly 10 seconds before changing and taking that stretch to the other side. When the arch of your feet starts complaining, you're going to gently unwrap, relax onto the bridges of your feet and come to a soft 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. We're going to use a modified chaturanga to come straight into an up dog. Bend the elbows, hug them in towards the midline of the body as you gently load through the arms, making your way onto the belly and pushing into the arms and the bridges of your feet so that those are the only 2 points of contact on the mat. And then you're going to gently rock the weight back into your heels and back onto the tops of your feet. If moving in a rolling action is not happening for you, maybe just step the feet one at a time, making your way with the toes tucked under and then onto the tops of your feet. So just play where you're comfortable, rocking back and forth about 10 times and then ending back in your up dog position with the weight on the bridges of your feet. Push the mat strongly away, make sure your core is engaged. You're going to roll the weight to the right, focusing on your right leg and roll all the way from your big toe to the pinky toe, almost resting on the side of your foot, looking over the shoulder to the back of your mat. You're going to come back to the center line and slowly rotate on the other side. Rocking back and forth 5 to 10 times, strong through the shoulders as you play. And then end along the midline of the body and think down dog, but keep the weight on the tops of your toes. So you're really feeling an amazing stretch through the toes. Ease your way into a full down dog and then take the down dog into a slow walk. Bending the alternate knee, piking your bum up to the ceiling as you gently cycle through. And then holding your down dog, trying to relax the foot as much to the mat as you can, maybe even walking the whole foot up and coming into an elephant stretch, trying to connect the whole base of your foot to the floor while piking your bum up to the ceiling. Hold for roughly 10 seconds and then bend through the knees and make your way into a relaxed dog, maybe creeping onto your fingertips and taking a little bunny hop forward to land on the haunches with your feet looking to the front of the mat, knees and softly squeezed into the midline so that you're more or less just inside of hip width distance apart, and then floating up into a little balancing challenge, either connecting the whole foot to the floor once you come up into mountain, or staying on the toes as you gently float up and down with the arms extended out in front of you. If this is not an option for you, if coming onto the haunches is not an option, maybe just finding mountain, coming up onto the toes and just giving me a small little bend through the knees, opening and extending, trying to keep your heels floating off the floor or connecting and disconnecting from the mat. Just play where you're comfortable. Then find your way to a seated frame, tucking into easy seat, Sukhasana. And place the one foot on the floor in front of you. Use your middle finger and your index finger to support the toe, and then use your thumb to trace a little circular massage into the toe. Begin at the base of the toe where it connects into the foot, and just trace a little circular pattern, making your way all the way to the top of the toe. When you reach the top of the toe, make sure you give a nice press into the base of the foot and then tug the toe away. You're going to repeat that exercise, making your way from the big toe to the little toe. And then once you've done that, come back to your big and your second toe and just pull the two toes apart. You're going to repeat that sequence, pulling each toe away till you make your way from the big toe to the little toe. Repeat that sequence on your other foot and then end off by elevating your feet. So either sitting comfortably on your couch or your chair and propping some pillows underneath your feet, or make your way to legs up against the wall. This is an awesome way to reverse the blood flow in the body. Sitting alongside the wall and then just gently making your way onto the back, floating the feet up towards the ceiling. Allow the feet to just softly splay out and soften through the knees, arms at your sides in a Shavasana-like position, and just stay here for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just allowing all the blood that pooled in your feet, especially if you did a lot of sitting during the day, to just reverse and make its way back towards your heart. Stay here for as long as you're comfortable. And then when you're ready to come out, gently hugging the knees in towards your chest, rolling over onto one side in a soft fetal position, maybe using your bottom arm as a pillow, and then gently pushing up onto the elbows, make your way into a seated frame before you come to standing. So just giving your blood pressure a chance to even out. Don't shoot up from your lying position into a standing position or you might keel right over. I hope that you found today's video helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Please share it with family and friends. Shoot me your comments in the comments box below and make sure that you are subscribed with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for playtime on the mat. Till then, keep it light.